Agreements continue about ways to stop school shootings and active shooter situations. One thing we can all do, though, have a plan for what to do if it happens to you or your family.
We have a plan in my family for sure. We spoke with a local officer who teaches classes what to do during an active shooter. Our Ira Cronin learned who shooters are typically looking for first.
Here at News 5, we had the active shooter training from CSPD 4 days before the Club Q shooting happened. And in the horrific aftermath of that story, I kept thinking time and time again, it's the kind of training everyone should have.
Patterns are emerging in the active shooter situations we continue to see both here in Colorado and across the country in terms of how people react that break into those three categories. In the Club Q shooting, we know there were people who hid, like Joshua Thurman, who says he hid in a dressing room.
I was on the dance floor and I heard 4 to 5 shots ring out. We all thought it was the music.
We also know others ran from the club. And we know 2 people, Richard Fierro and Thomas James, fought back, subduing the shooter, no doubt saving countless lives.
I just kept wailing on him. And I told the kid in front of me, kick him in his head, keep kicking him in his head. I'm yelling 911, somebody call 911.
But what would you do if you were somewhere, anywhere in public, and shooting started? While it's a situation none of us want to think about or ever hope to find ourselves in, the Colorado Springs Police Department wants you to be prepared, and they're willing to help you be prepared and train you for free.
We are going to talk to you about active shooter, or how you can prepare yourself for an active shooter event.
CSPD officer Christopher Osick is one of 4 crime prevention officers who goes into the community and teaches, among other things, an active shooter training class.
You listen to what I have to say today and you retain some of it, hopefully you do, you will be that much better prepared during an active shooter incident.
How important is this kind of training in our community?
I think it's very important to everyone, actually. Active shooters, they can happen anywhere. They can happen to anyone.
In the initial minutes of an active shooter situation beginning, your survival is literally in your own hands.
The shots ring out, there's an active shooter, someone calls us, it's still going to take us a few minutes to get there. And so this is for what you guys can do in between the time that the call is made and until we get there to handle our business. What we teach is the method run, hide, and fight. And what happens is a person, once they realize that the situation is an active shooter event, they pick the option that works best for them in the moment. We're going to try to mentally prepare you for what you can do. It all starts with having a plan.
Run, hide, or fight.
Run, hide, fight might seem like a simple proposition, but simply being in the mindset of doing any one of them when the chaos breaks out is your first step of surviving. What
happens is the shooter, they're going from area to area and they're just looking for people that are caught out in the open for the most part. They're trying to get that high kill count. So what happens is people who are frozen in fear, they could end up being a casualty. Now on the flip side of that, if you've had training like the run, hide, fight, or you know what your options are, there's a better chance that you'll recognize the situation for what it is and you will take one of those options and act appropriately and hopefully not freeze during that situation. The run, hide, fight method, again, there's no expectation that you start at run or you do whatever.
That's not an order.
It's not an order, it's not a flow chart.
Officer Osick says that means you might even be armed, but your best option may be to not confront the shooter.
While it is a citizen's legal right to carry a firearm and possess that in the state of Colorado, the options run, hide, fight, they apply to everyone, and that's what we hope that everyone does. And the problem being with someone that decides they want to go after the threat is we as law enforcement, again, we get on scene and we're looking for the shooter, and if we happen to see someone running around with a gun that we're not familiar, I mean, we won't be able to tell if that person is a good guy or a bad guy. We hope that even people, if they have a concealed weapon, still run, hide, or fight. Those are going to be your options. At the Club Q shooting, I think everyone used their instincts and they did what was best for them, but there were examples of running, hiding, and fighting, as we saw. I can't Monday morning quarterback and say that any of them were right, wrong, or indifferent. All I can say is everyone chose and did what they could until law enforcement got there.
I'll put the information on how to connect with CSPD to arrange your free training in the online version of this story, or you can reach out to any local law enforcement agency in your area to see what the training options are. For News 5, I'm Ira Cronin.